1 week before the wedding, my fiancé suddenly canceled the around-the-world destination wedding I had spent 2 years preparing. I thought it was a mistake, maybe he clicked the wrong button, so I opened my tablet to ask the wedding planner. WeChat was logged in at the same time, and messages from his friends popped up one after another. Just because of Victoria's wish? You actually canceled your fiancé's travel wedding and handed the entire wedding over to her to plan? That wedding is basically your fiancé's life. Everyone knows she was pushing through a relapse of heart failure just to make those plans. Aren't you afraid that if she finds out, she'll call the whole thing off? My hands were trembling as I opened the chat. My fiancé replied casually. She's already given her life to me, why would she care about the wedding format? Victoria just wants to try planning a wedding. It's her dream. Relax. No one cares more about this wedding than she does. She even had half her heart cut out for me. She loves me to death. Even if she finds out, there's no way she'll leave me. At most she'll make a fuss for a couple of days. I'll just coax her and it'll be fine. I took a deep breath, forcing down the violent pounding in my chest, then turned to another man and said, "Want to get married? My wedding is still missing a groom." Chapter 1. That around-the-world destination wedding, I planned it for 2 full years. From the glass igloos under the northern lights in Scandinavia, to the bioluminescent beaches of the Maldives. Every detail was polished over and over again. It wasn't just a wedding format. It was a promise to the rest of my life. Paid for with half a heart. And now, all of it had become a joke. I stood outside the study, my entire body trembling. Inside came the voice of his sister, Carolina. "Joel, have you lost your mind? A destination wedding is Emma's life. You cancel it just like that?" Joel sounded impatient. "Traveling around the world is exhausting. Emma's body can't handle it. Holding it at a hotel is much simpler. Victoria means well too." "Means well?" Carolina scoffed. "I think she has ulterior motives. You canceled the wedding for her. Did you ever consider Emma's feelings?" "What feelings does she have?" He paused briefly. "She loves me to death. She even gave me half her heart. Canceling a wedding is nothing." He said it as if it were only natural. Carolina fell silent for a moment. "Hey, are you really doing this for Emma's sake? Or just to make your Victoria happy? You know the answer yourself." "Sis, what do you mean by that? That gemstone in Victoria's hand costs over $1 million. Doesn't it? You didn't even blink." "But what about Emma? If I hadn't come back yesterday, I wouldn't have known that the dignified young mistress of the family lives more frugally than a servant." I hid in the bedroom, listening as Carolina slammed the door and left. Joel left as well. I finally let out a breath and curled up on the bed, my eyes fixed on the star bracelet on my wrist, one I had worn for 5 years without ever taking off. I remembered my birthday this year. He came home late at night and casually bought a 5 yuan mini cake from a convenience store. I forgot. Just make do with it. And you, why didn't you remind me earlier? Yet just last month, he had prepared a birthday surprise for Victoria. He booked an entire cruise ship, flew in flowers, ordered custom fireworks, spending over $1 million. At the time, I even made excuses for him, thinking he was just too busy with work. How ridiculous. So it wasn't that he didn't understand romance. It wasn't that he didn't know how to be attentive. It was just that his care and romance had never been meant for me. 5 years. Only now did I truly see it. What I had exchanged half my life for wasn't a love carved into my bones, but a complete and utter illusion of my own making. Chapter 2. The scar on my chest began to ache again, faint but persistent, and breathing grew difficult. The doctor had warned me, emotional turmoil could trigger rejection in this transplanted heart. I swallowed my pills quickly and leaned back on the sofa, cold sweat soaking through me. The entire house echoed with the sound of my shallow breathing, and tears spilled out uncontrollably. I remembered 3 years ago, the day after he proposed in Iceland, when I came down with a raging fever. Joel stayed by my side all night, clumsily cooking porridge, carefully blowing on each spoonful before feeding me. He said, "Emma, from now on, every single minute, you come first." When he said that, his eyes were filled with me. I hid shyly under the blanket, refusing to come out. I thought of an even earlier time, our first meeting. At a famous overseas church everyone went to check in at. The white doves scattered, and he crashed straight into my camera frame. As the medicine took effect, my heartbeat slowed a little. Just as drowsiness set in, my phone jolted me awake. A message from him. Emma, my good buddy just got dumped. I need to drink with him tonight. I won't be coming back. Go to bed early. See? He couldn't even be bothered to make up a new excuse. Last week it was a company dinner. The week before, something came up with his parents. I stared at the screen, my heart clenched tight by something unseen. At 1 in the morning, the pain kept me from sleeping. Victoria sent a video. The image shook, dim bar lights, an intimate atmosphere. Joel leaned drunkenly against a booth, the camera fixed on him. Her voice came from behind the camera. Joel, didn't you just say your sister-in-law treats you too well? So well it makes you feel suffocated? His cheeks were flushed. He was too slurred to form a complete sentence. Victoria continued on her own. Actually, sister-in-law just loves you too much. That's why she tries to bind you with all that sacrifice. Joel, don't be unhappy. The moment her words fell, ugly chatter erupted around them. Damn, you really can't tell. She seems generous, but turns out she's so calculating? Using half her life to tie someone down forever? That kind of love is terrifying. Joel's the real victim, being morally kidnapped for so long. Exactly. Joel's suffered so much. That kind of debt of gratitude is the scariest. Joel only waved his hand and muttered. Don't say it like that. He didn't say a single word in my defense. The video cut off abruptly. A sharp pain tore through my chest, nearly knocking me unconscious. I bit through my lip until it bled, forcing myself awake, and dialed emergency services. When I was brought back from the ER, it was already the next afternoon. Alone, clutching my medical file, I wandered out of the hospital doors in a daze. In the city center, I saw Joel and Victoria walking out of a hotel. Victoria naturally looped her arm through his. Joel looked down at her, his gaze relaxed and gentle, something I hadn't seen in a long time. They headed straight for the movie theater next door. Like an ordinary couple, I stood there, watching them fade into the distance. I don't know how I made it home. The moment I pushed the door open, I saw Joel sitting on the sofa. When he saw me, his brows immediately furrowed. Where did you go last night? You didn't answer your phone. My voice was dry. The hospital. Emergency. He froze for a second, then looked a little uneasy. What happened? Feeling unwell again? I spoke calmly. The video Victoria sent, I saw it. His tone turned impatient. What are you trying to say now? Victoria's just blunt. She didn't mean any harm. Those people didn't know the situation either. Why are you making a big deal out of it? She said I used favors to bind you. That's no harm? Then what do you want me to do? He suddenly snapped. Beat everyone up? Emma, can you be more mature? She was just feeling sorry for me. Feeling sorry for you, for what? I asked. For me having too much pressure. His face flushed red. The room fell silent for a moment. I fought through the discomfort and the ache in my chest. Joel, is this what the half of my heart bought, watching you insult me together with other people? He stiffened, panic flashing in his eyes. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Tears burst out again, uselessly. So only Victoria's tears count as tears. And I'm just forcing you? He exploded in rage. Here you go again. Always the same line. Fine, you're great. You saved me. So for the rest of my life I'm supposed to worship you like an ancestor, not allowed to have a single emotion of my own. Is that it? He pointed at my nose, his eyes full of undisguised disgust and exhaustion. With that, he slammed the door and left. 10 minutes later, Victoria posted a photo. She and Joel were sitting at home, playing video games. Caption, with me. Joel is always free. He liked it instantly. I stared at his profile in that photo, the man I once loved with half my life. But in his heart, my love and my sacrifice had long since become the heaviest burden he wanted most to escape. Chapter 3. Joel thought I was giving him the cold shoulder and deliberately ignored me for 2 days. Then he noticed how unnervingly quiet I was. For the first time in ages, he stayed home for dinner, chatting as if casually. By the way, about the wedding. I looked at a few hotel proposals. They're all pretty grand. I picked up a bite of food and didn't respond. A little awkward. He cleared his throat. Ahem. I mean, having the wedding domestically is actually less hassle, right? I put my chopsticks down. What are you trying to say? He choked for a second, then laughed sheepishly. Nothing, just making conversation. The air turned awkward. Then I suddenly spoke. Joel, do you remember the equipment checklist we made for Iceland? Time really flies. We're about to use it. His gaze flickered. He quickly forced a somewhat rushed smile. Why bring that up all of a sudden? Emma, those places are too far. All that traveling, how can your body handle it? How about the best hotel in the city? Easy and impressive. He hurriedly pulled out his phone. Look, the plan Victoria made, starry ceiling, all fresh flowers. I glanced at it. The lavish, over-the-top style, none of it was what I liked. I cut him off. You two decide. I don't really have any objections. He froze, clearly not used to my compliance, but the surprise was quickly replaced by delight. You finally figured it out. His mood visibly improved. He even took the initiative to suggest accompanying me to try on wedding dresses. At the bridal boutique, I had just changed into an off-the-shoulder gown when the curtain was suddenly yanked open. Victoria burst in holding a tablet, excitedly crowding up next to Joel. Joel, the revised main gown has arrived. Sister-in-law will definitely love it. She picked up a crown so ornate it was almost excessive. Look at this! Joel and I fell for it at first sight. It really suits sister-in-law's noble aura. Joel didn't find anything odd about that. Victoria has good taste. Victoria then took out a gemstone necklace and handed it to him. Joel, hurry and put it on Emma. You picked this one especially. He took it, clumsily trying to fasten it around my neck. I had seen that necklace just last week in Victoria's Moments, around her own neck. The consultant reminded him awkwardly. That necklace pairs better with a deep V. The gown Madame chose is off the shoulder, so it might. Change it. Joel waved his hand decisively. Just do what Victoria said. The consultant looked at me helplessly. Only then did he remember to ask. Do you like it? No need. All three of them froze. I looked at Joel, my tone calm. You forgot, I'm allergic to this kind of alloy. 2 years ago on my birthday, you gave me a similar one. I wore it for 3 days and my neck broke out all around. You were the one who noticed in time and took me to the hospital. My gaze shifted to Victoria. Her face went deathly pale. Looks like you didn't tell him. Joel stood there holding the necklace, frozen, his expression dark. Her eyes instantly reddened as she tugged on his sleeve. Joel, I didn't mean to. Joel immediately shielded her and snapped at me. Can you stop being so sarcastic all the time? Victoria's been busy front to back. It's all for you. It's just a necklace. If you don't like it, forget it. Why say all this and ruin the mood? Can't you be a little more sensible? Watching him rush to protect another woman, I found it absurd beyond words. Joel, when you want me to be sensible, you sure have a lot of demands. It was as if I'd struck a nerve. He flung his hand away sharply. Yes, I just can't stand you like this. Victoria wrapped her arm around his, whispering close to him. Joel, stop. Joel let out a cold laugh, his voice suddenly rising. Don't interfere. I've had enough. You're always nitpicking, always suspicious, always making a mountain out of a molehill. That's why your heart has become so fragile. You're uncomfortable at the slightest thing. Whose fault is that? You always have an excuse anyway. Isn't it just because I owe you half a life? The air in the shop froze instantly. The consultant lowered her head and busied herself elsewhere, pretending not to hear. My heart plunged into icy depths. So this was how he saw it. The life and death devotion I had given him was merely a tool for unreasonable behavior and fishing for sympathy, and I had foolishly expected him to remember the promise of an around-the-world wedding. I looked at his face, twisted with anger. Suddenly I remembered the time right after my heart transplant surgery. At night, he never dared to sleep deeply. He would always reach out to check my breathing. Back then, his hands trembled, and his eyes were full of fear. So fear and disgust were really only a thin line apart. I said nothing more. I simply looked at them calmly once, turned around, and walked away. Chapter 4. That night, I stood alone on the balcony, staring at the night sky. My phone was playing a citywide livestream pushed by the system. The hosts were Victoria and Joel. Victoria faced the camera, tears clinging to her lashes, crying and smiling at the same time. Joel often brings me here, he says when you're in a bad mood. Eating something sweet makes it better. Then her tone shifted. Such a good man. Getting married so soon, yet sister-in-law just doesn't know how to cherish him. She always makes a fuss over trivial things. Pulls faces in front of his friends. Joel gets stuck in the middle. How hard that must be for him. The camera shook slightly, and Joel appeared beside her. He pulled out a tissue and gently wiped her tears. Then he scooped up a spoonful of cake and, without the slightest hesitation, fed it to her. Victoria blushed as she ate it. He looked at her, his gaze so tender it could drip. What are you overthinking? His voice came through the microphone, a little muffled, yet sharp and precise as it pierced straight into my heart. Even after I'm married, I'll still be your knight forever. My stomach churned violently. I opened the comment section. Thankfully, there were still sane people. What did the fiancé do wrong to deserve being disgusted like this? The fiancé is miserable. This woman reeks of green tea vibes even through the screen. I'm nauseous. Lock yourselves together and stop harming other girls. This guy's trash too. About to get married and still acting like this with a female friend? Knight? Ugh. Joel actually jumped in himself, replying fast and aggressively. Stop fucking talking nonsense. Victoria grew up with me. We're close. That's why she feels sorry for me. What the hell do you people know? My fiancé walks around with a sour face every day. I can't say a word. Can't scold her. The moment things don't go her way, her heart condition flares up again, fragile as hell. She's about to get married and still so childish. Nitpicking over every little thing. Every word stabbed straight through me. It felt like an ice pick was driven brutally into my heart. Cold, numb, unbearable. I suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Not a single tear came out. Calmly, I dialed the emergency number. The ambulance arrived quickly. I lay on the stretcher, feeling life slowly drain from my body. Scenes flashed before my eyes. Him kneeling beneath the aurora, saying he would love me for a lifetime. Him forgetting our anniversary, yet spending an entire night at a concert with Victoria. Me alone, hooked up to N4 until dawn with a high fever. His call came, but the first thing he did was complain that I'd forgotten to iron the white shirt Victoria had given him. When I was hospitalized, he was skiing with her in Switzerland. In the video, Victoria's crisp laughter rang out. Joel, look! The snow here is so beautiful. Every time I needed him, he was somewhere else, running errands and bending over backward for others, while giving me nothing but perfunctory responses. He always said he was busy, yet he was always free for Victoria. Every movie he promised, every trip he planned, was effortlessly abandoned for a single call from her. Promises became obligations. Love became a burden, and my half-heart became the shackle he flaunted and resented. Blood foam choked my airway. I coughed until my whole body shook. I was tired. So unbearably tired. They were still live streaming. Victoria smiled as she fed Joel another spoonful of cake. Intimately, he opened his mouth and took it. His eyes filled with a tenderness I hadn't seen in a long time. Disgusting. Just before darkness swallowed my consciousness completely, the phone screen suddenly went black. It powered itself off. When I woke up again, it was several days later. My phone was filled with more than a dozen messages from Joel. Emma, I was wrong. I apologized. Can you stop making a fuss? We're about to be husband and wife. Can't you be a little sensible? Stop making things so hard for me. He sounded drunk, mumbling a lot of incoherent nonsense. Can't you just understand me once? I listened, and felt nothing. He wanted me to understand him. Fine. I would grant him that wish. Chapter 5. On the final day of the wedding countdown, Joel finally called. His voice carried a cautious, probing tone. Emma, are you still upset? I've had things going on at the company these past few days and haven't been home, working overtime every day. My voice was calm. No. He was clearly relieved. His tone lightened. That's good. Oh, right. Have you confirmed all the wedding arrangements? I curled my lips slightly, looking at the neatly packed luggage in the corner of the room. He relaxed completely, even a hint of a smile in his voice. Great. Go to bed early. I'll come pick you up tomorrow. The next morning, Joel called again. His voice was full of urgency and anxiety. Emma, can you go to the venue first on your own? Victoria's having really bad cramps. I need to take her to the hospital first. Okay, I replied flatly, while signaling to the friends helping me that the luggage could be loaded into the car. He paused, clearly not expecting things to go so smoothly. Don't overthink it. She's just. Go quickly. I cut him off, my tone almost gentle. Don't delay. He sounded greatly relieved. I knew you were the most understanding. Wait for me. The call ended in a rush. Joel, is this really okay? Won't Sister Emma get angry? She won't. His tone was firm. Your health is what matters. How could I possibly ignore you? Yet somehow, his heart felt as though something was missing, an inexplicable sense of unease spreading through him. The hotel banquet hall was draped in red carpet, surrounded by lush flowers, but his relatives and friends exchanged uneasy glances. Not a single person from my side of the family had shown up. Even the few close friends I had were nowhere to be seen. Joel, dressed in his suit, arrived just in time for the wedding. His gaze swept across the hall and froze. Where's Emma? He grabbed the best man, his voice tight. I haven't seen her. Didn't she come with you? He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling, dialing my number again and again. I'm sorry. The number you've dialed is currently unavailable. The busy tone echoed, each beep draining the color from his face. Don't tell me. Emma didn't know the travel wedding was cancelled and already boarded the plane. Panic seized him instantly. Call her friends. Now. We did. Joel, all their phones are off. He stood there, completely stiff, the blood draining from his face. The bouquet slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a dull thud. 3 hours later, Joel's call finally forced its way through. His voice was frantic. Emma, where are you? Why aren't you answering your phone? Everyone's waiting. I stood beneath the stained glass windows of a church, my white veil trailing across the floor. Getting married. There was a second of dead silence on the line, followed by his rapid, uneven breathing. What do you mean? Getting married? Where are you? Emma, say that clearly. I chuckled softly, my fingers brushing over the pristine white wedding gown. Can't you hear it? Joel? My wedding march. His voice shot up. Then he forced it down, disbelief and panic seeping through. Why, you went. How did you go? Your body can't handle long-distance flights. You could cancel my round-the-world travel wedding just to fulfill Victoria's wish. I cut him off, my voice calm, as if talking about someone else. So why can't I gamble my own life and take one long flight? On the other end of the line, his breathing turned harsh and labored, as though an invisible hand were choking him. You knew? Emma, listen to me. I can explain. Canceling it was because it doesn't matter anymore. I looked toward the figure waiting for me at the end of the red carpet. Save your explanations for someone who still needs them. Joel, my wedding is about to begin. Goodbye. I turned off my phone and handed it to my bridesmaid. Joel tried calling again, no connection. His hands shook so badly he could barely hold the phone. A suffocating pressure clamped around his throat. She really went? With her body. How could she dare take a long flight? Who was she marrying? Who was standing beside her? His vision went black, tears falling without warning. She didn't want him anymore, and he couldn't accept that. His mother asked in confusion, Joel, what's going on? Where's Emma? Joel's lips trembled. He couldn't say a single word. Beside them, Carolina sighed. I told you long ago. Did you ever ask what she wanted? You never listened. This is marriage. You even dared to cancel the wedding without telling her. Did you really think she had no temper at all? One of his friends suddenly remembered something. No wonder. I saw Emma earlier. She was with a man. The two of them were trying on wedding rings. I even wondered why you weren't there. So she had it planned all along. His mother instantly understood. She slapped Joel hard on the back. You useless thing. What are you standing there for? Go get her back. His eyes bloodshot. Joel walked toward Victoria, who stood pale-faced in the corner. Victoria, come with me. He nearly dragged her along. Go explain everything to her. You have to tell her that there's nothing between us. Victoria was in pain, her lips white. Joel, I feel awful, since she already. He cut her off sharply, his voice rising. Even if it hurts. You're coming. She can only be my wife. Chapter 6. I walked step by step toward my groom, Luis. My first love. The regret I carried from my youth. When I was 17, his family suffered a sudden upheaval and he was forcibly taken away. I thought we would never meet again in this lifetime. 2 years ago, Joel once again stood me up at my engagement banquet for Victoria. After my heart transplant, I was never supposed to be emotionally overstimulated. I couldn't catch my breath, lost my balance, and nearly collapsed. The one who caught me was him. In my fading consciousness, someone was gripping my hand tightly, begging me not to fall asleep. When I woke up, I learned that Luis had recognized me, desperately sought out top specialists, and pulled me back from the edge of death. I lifted my head and met a pair of eyes filled with the panic of something precious regained after being lost. I was trembling in pain. Luis, you came too late. I think I'm about to die. He wrapped me tightly in his coat, repeating over and over, don't be afraid. I couldn't speak. Tears streamed out uncontrollably. Why are you crying? I'm back. He patted my back gently, like keeping time, his voice so soft it almost broke. After high school graduation, I secretly came back to look for you, but they told me something had happened to your family. I didn't believe it. Those years, I came back to China for university. Every holiday, I would sneak back and sit in that shop for an entire afternoon. The staff changed again and again, but their signature milk tea was always sickeningly sweet. I kept thinking, what if one day you suddenly appeared? I'd order less ice, 30% sugar. He tugged at the corner of his mouth in a bitter smile. Today I was here to meet a client. The moment I looked up, I saw you. The glass was thick. There were so many people, but I recognized you at once. My heart clenched painfully, sour beyond words. So it wasn't coincidence. It was years of searching, years of unwavering waiting. Only then did this reunion happen. I didn't dare meet his eyes. Tears slid one by one into my collar. Luis, I'm getting married. He was silent for a long time, so long that I thought he had already left. Then I heard him say softly, okay. He carefully tucked in my blanket, his movements gentle. Remember, give me an invitation. He suddenly stood up, his back straight. Emma, as long as you turn back, I'll always be here. The door closed softly. I raised my hand to cover my eyes. Tears soaked my palm in silence. Too late. We had missed too much time. That night, I watched a video Victoria deliberately sent me. The emotional shock triggered another heart episode. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Luis's eyes, red from crying. When he saw me awake, he wiped his tears while asking where else I felt uncomfortable. Just like middle school, during PE class. When his basketball hit me, that little boy carried me all the way to the infirmary without stopping. After the school nurse treated my wound and gave instructions, he remembered every single word. Every day he chased after me to change medicine, remind me to take pills, more nagging than my own mother. I forced a small smile. Luis, will you marry me? My wedding is missing a groom. Luis froze, silent for a long moment, long enough that I was about to say it was a joke. Don't take it seriously. Then, holding back sobs, he suddenly spoke. Emma, what did you say? Really? I moved my lips to explain, but he interrupted me again. Whether you're lying to me or just comforting me, thank you. I helplessly explained, refusing to let him take it as a consolation prize. A light burst into his eyes. He cried and laughed at the same time. I'm willing. In just a few days, he arranged everything for me. Flights across different cities, the wedding venue I chose, even the crushed diamond veil I once mentioned casually. When we tried on wedding rings, he knelt on one knee, his fingers trembling badly. The cool platinum band slid onto my ring finger. He lowered his head, hot tears splashing onto the back of my hand. I came too late, Emma. Thankfully, this moment was not too late. The church bells rang. He held my face, forehead pressed to mine, breaths intertwining. Your heart, from now on, I'll take care of it. Luis, will never leave you in this lifetime. The moment the vow fell, my tears finally broke free. The love I couldn't have in my youth, the turbulence of adulthood, all found their final resting place in this single vow. Chapter 7. Joel didn't call until noon the next day. There were no flights left that day. He had no way to come. Joel leaned against a bookshelf, his voice hoarse beyond recognition. Emma, just because I canceled the travel wedding and changed it to a domestic one, you went and married someone at random? 5 years of feelings, you just threw them away like that? Emma, stop messing around. I listened, my tone calm. Joel, you've got it wrong. I'm not throwing a tantrum. I'm not messing around. I really got married. On the other end of the phone, his breathing stalled. How is that possible? Even if you wanted to get back at me, you couldn't just marry some random man. I looked at the man sleeping beside me, his brows soft, his expression peaceful. Luis isn't a random man. We've known each other for almost 20 years. You're not the only one with a childhood sweetheart who dotes on you. I also have my first love. Joel muttered, almost to himself. No, it's still because of Victoria. You're still angry, aren't you? Joel. I cut him off. It's not because of Victoria, and it's not because of the wedding. Then why? His voice grew lower and lower, even carrying a trace of grievance. Is it because that day I defended Victoria and said harsh things to you? Just because of those little things? Little things? I chuckled softly. When I got engaged, you were with her eating luocefen. Was that a little thing? When I had a 40-degree fever, alone on an 4 drip, you were with her at a concert. Was that a little thing? When the doctor said I couldn't drink, you forced me to down 5 glasses of hard liquor just to make her happy. And I ended up in the emergency room that night. Was that also a little thing? His breath hitched. Why you? Why didn't you say anything back then? Didn't I? I asked calmly. I begged you to stop. I said I was in pain. I said I would die. Do you remember what you said to me? Dead silence filled the line. Joel's face went deathly pale as his memories came rushing back. I let out a soft scoff. Joel, I loved you. That's why I gave you countless chances. But the person I love must love me wholeheartedly, not play someone else's night while I'm dying. He was speechless, left with only heavy, ragged breathing. Do you remember why we wanted a travel wedding in the first place? Joel froze for a moment. Wasn't it just to travel? You can do the same domestically. What's the difference? I laughed coldly. See? You really forgot. Forget it, let's leave it at that. Joel stood frozen, phone in hand. Victoria tugged at his sleeve. Joel, my stomach really hurts. He seemed not to hear her at all. His eyes locked onto the diary in his hand. Inside it, every page was filled with my memories. Why did it have to be a travel wedding? Suddenly, he noticed a photo tucked between the pages. White doves taking flight. A bright, radiant smile crashing into the frame. It was him. Joel grabbed the unsteady Victoria in excitement. I remember now. I remember everything. Back then, he had just graduated from college and chosen to travel alone. Our first meeting was at that church with the white doves. Because of that single photo, he insisted on getting my contact information and paid me for the picture. At that time, I had already been traveling for a year, staying in each destination for varying lengths of time. But because Joel dragged me all over famous landmarks, we ended up staying in one place for 3 whole months. As time passed, our relationship quietly changed. 3 years ago, in the uninhabited region of northern Tibet, he insisted on taking risks, trying to prove himself, and ran into an earthquake and landslide. I clawed him out with everything I had, not caring that my fingernails tore off. But his heart was severely damaged, and he was dying. I did everything I could, persuaded the doctors, gambled with my life, and gave him half my heart. Later, Joel cried his eyes out, crying and cursing at the same time, asking if I was stupid, if I knew how painful it was to tear out a heart. When we had both mostly recovered, he knelt beneath the aurora and proposed, Emma, let's travel the world for our wedding. Let every mountain, river, and sea witness that we share the same heart. I will love you forever. Memories came flooding back uncontrollably. He remembered me staying up countless nights planning routes. We'll go to Iceland to see the aurora first. then to the Norwegian fjords. Joel, this is our heart's journey. And he frowned, pushing me away. Isn't this annoying? Just decide these trivial things yourself. He remembered my countless moments of hesitation, words left unspoken. He remembered me clutching my chest, silently taking medicine. He remembered the way my eyes gradually lost their light as I watched him leave with Victoria. Joel suddenly bent over as a violent pain exploded in his heart. The pain was so intense he retched violently, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Tears poured out without warning. No. Emma, it wasn't like that. He grabbed his hair in agony. I forgot. How could I forget? Victoria panicked and tried to grab him. Joel, what's wrong? Don't scare me. Get away. He shoved her aside violently, his bloodshot eyes staring at Victoria like she was an enemy. It's all because of you. Every time it was you. If you hadn't kept calling, if it weren't for you. His words stopped abruptly. The one truly at fault wasn't Victoria. It was him. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Emma. He covered his face as massive. Belated regret crashed down on him like an avalanche, swallowing him whole. 3 years ago, he was given a second life. And at the same time, he lost the love of his life forever. Chapter 8. Our next stop was the snow-capped hot springs in Switzerland. Steam drifted through the air as I leaned against Luis's shoulder, watching snowflakes fall soundlessly onto the surface of the pool. The phone Luis had left by the edge suddenly vibrated. He glanced at it and abruptly straightened. He looked again and again before turning to me. His voice trembled, his eyes unable to contain the wild joy inside. Emma, we found it! A matching heart donor. I froze. A hope I had never dared to voice to him. He had been carrying it silently in his heart all along. No more soaking. We're going back. He stood up at once, wrapping me tightly in a towel, his movements fast and urgent. Surgery immediately. Not a second can be wasted. Outside the operating room, he held my hand tightly, his voice choking. Don't be afraid. I'll be right here. I won't leave your side for a single step. Emma, you have to come out safe. I still owe you a complete honeymoon trip. I smiled at him and mouthed the word okay. When I woke up again, the heavy shackle pressing on my chest was gone. Breathing felt lighter than it ever had before. Luis was slumped beside the bed, dark circles under his eyes, stubble messy. When he saw me awake, he snapped his head up, his eyes instantly red, crying and laughing at the same time. Like a fool. I'm sorry. He rambled incoherently. The honeymoon is ruined. We can only let you recover in a hospital room. I lifted my weak hand and touched his face. What nonsense are you talking about, Luis? This is the best wedding gift. The day I was discharged, the sunlight outside was brilliant. Luis went to handle the paperwork. I stood by the door waiting for him. A staggering figure suddenly rushed toward me, reeking of cigarettes and alcohol. Joel. I almost didn't recognize him. Unshaven, eyes sunken, haggard, he looked like he had aged 10 years. Emma! He lunged forward, trying to grab my arm. Where did you go? I've been looking for you everywhere. Do you know how I've lived these days? Luis stepped in front of me first, his tone cold and hard. Move. Joel seemed not to hear him. His eyes locked on me, almost pleading. Just a few minutes. Emma, please, say a few words to me. I turned my gaze aside and gave a quiet hum. Some things had to be ended face to face. Luis shot him a warning look, then stepped half a pace back, still close enough to intervene at any moment. No one expected Joel to suddenly drop to his knees with a thud, kneeling directly in front of me. I was wrong. Emma, I was really wrong. He howled as he slapped his own face hard, over and over, the sound sharp and loud. I'm not human. I'm a bastard. I betrayed you. Forgive me. Let's start over. Okay? The ring. The ring. I kept it. He fumbled frantically in his pockets, holding out the ring he once used to propose. I looked at him with contempt, a mocking smile curling my lips. Start over? Joel, which of the things you promised have you ever actually done? What right do you have to talk about starting over? His face went deathly pale, his lips trembling. Unable to speak, his mother appeared from nowhere and grabbed my hand. Emma, after you left, he fell ill, mentally and psychologically. He hasn't been well. He really knows he was wrong. He truly regrets it. He regrets it? I let out a cold laugh. When I was lying on a hospital bed waiting to die, when I couldn't breathe, when I endured countless painful nights alone, where was his regret then? What I regret most is saving this ungrateful wolf in the first place. He's suffering now. Was I comfortable back then? I pulled a faint smile. Auntie, how can you be so sure this isn't just temporary pain? That once I truly turn back, he won't abandon me again for some other Victoria? His mother choked, loosening her grip. I didn't spare them another glance. I took Louis's hand and walked away. Chapter 9. 1 month later. Joel updated his social media, location, Iceland. A photo showed him standing alone before massive waves on a black sand beach. Caption, if this is where it all ends, so be it. Louis frowned. He's lost his mind. Hiking in extreme weather is suicidal. I moved my finger and publicly replied in his comments. Stupid once. Nearly died. Stupid twice. This is pure brain damage. After posting, I blocked him immediately. Louis wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on the top of my head. Not worried at all? He dies his way. I live mine. We're done. Late at night, Joel called. I answered but didn't speak. His voice broke apart in the wind and crashing waves. Emma. I just wanted to hear your voice. Just one last time, please. I cut him off. Are you done? He choked, his breathing turning rapid. You really feel nothing at all anymore? Watching me die, you wouldn't be sad, would you? I replied coldly. Joel, what is this? Atonement? He murmured. Yes. I couldn't think of any other way. My voice turned icy. So your atonement is calling your ex before you die to emotionally blackmail her? If you die, you want me labeled as the woman who drove her ex-fiancé to death? Joel, even at death's door you're still calculating. Is that your atonement? He sucked in a sharp breath, hurriedly defending himself. No, Emma, I just wanted you to know I truly regret it. I'm using my life to atone. Threatening the victim with your life isn't atonement. It's despicable. You'd better live. I cut him off without mercy. If you die, you'll forever be a disgusting ex in my life. If you live, at least you can prove you're not a useless coward who only knows how to threaten with death. Before he could speak again, I hung up. The next day, the trending headlines read, Man goes missing after hiking in Iceland. Suspected emotional distress. My heart jolted, then quickly calmed. Louis held me and asked softly, Do you want to help? I shook my head. No, finding him is the rescue team's job. I just don't want anything to do with him anymore. That evening, one of Joel's friends messaged me. They found Joel. He's alive, but ruined. Lost his leg. I called back immediately. He paused, lowering his voice, probing. Could you go see him? When he was unconscious, he kept calling your name. I was just as blunt. He chose to kill himself. What does that have to do with me? I warned him. Did he listen? The other side choked, still trying. But after all, it was because of you. I cut in. Today he loses a leg and I go see him. Tomorrow he catches a cold. Should I bring him soup? When he's terminally ill, should I wear mourning clothes and see him off? You all helped Victoria humiliate me back then. You laughed together watching me become a joke. Don't tell me you think I forgot. I'm married. I'm living well. Stop harassing me. Otherwise, I don't mind putting Joel's dirty past and all your disgusting remarks online, so everyone can see what birds of a feather really looks like. Silence followed, then a hurried sorry, and the call was cut. Hospital ward. Victoria came, carrying a fruit basket. Standing far away. Joel, don't blame me. I tried to stop you back then. Joel smiled faintly. It's fine. I don't blame you. Her eyes darted away. Anne. I have a boyfriend now. His family is well off and traditional. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to come again. Joel stared at her, silent. She bit her lip, her voice trembling. You're disabled for life. You can't expect me to be dragged down with you. Right? Dead silence. Joel laughed, louder and louder, until tears burst out. Get out. Victoria's face went pale. She tried to argue. He grabbed whatever was nearby and hurled it at her. I said get out. She screamed, dodged, and ran off in her delicate high heels without looking back. Joel panted heavily, his mind filled with memories of abandoning me countless times just because of one call from Victoria. Every word he had once said turned into knives stabbing back into him. 3 months later, Joel recovered enough to be discharged. He wheeled himself through the procedures. None of those so-called friends showed up. Loneliness set in. Retribution, perhaps. He rolled his wheelchair home only to be hooded in his own living room and thrown aside. Then came a storm of punches and kicks. Joel didn't make a sound. Who else could have persuaded security to let them in and wait inside his home? After half an hour, I was tired. I took the water Luis handed me and drank a few sips. Luis kicked the sack, checked he wasn't unconscious, and raised an eyebrow, suppressing a mischievous smile. I pulled Luis away, leaving Joel on the floor playing dead. I'd planned this the day Joel went missing. If I didn't personally vent my anger, I'd be betraying myself. Since Joel chose to survive through it all, I'd just continue granting his wish. On the way home, I leaned on Luis's shoulder, laughing nonstop. Luckily, everything was still in time. For the rest of my life, peace and happiness. With Luis.